Céad Míle Fáilte. Welcome to the Treasure Tales of Ireland, a place where you can come to listen to the many myths, legends, folk tales, and fairy tales of the Emerald Isle, helping to keep the stories of the past alive. My name is Mylinda Butterworth, and I will be your teller of tales. I hope you join me each week for new stories, and if you enjoy my work, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Additionally, be sure to explore my other story collections for more tales. Before we begin, please note that if you are using the closed caption feature of this video, that many Irish names may not sound the way they appear, and we have made every effort to pronounce them properly. Now, let's get started. Today, we continue with the Book of the Fianna, with Oisin's Children, Episode 53. Now, as to Oisin that was so brave and so comely, and that could overtake a deer at its greatest speed, and see a thistle-thorn on the darkest night, the wife he took was Eibhir of the plaited yellow hair, that was the foreign sweetheart of the High King of Ireland. It is beyond the sea she lived, in a very sunny place, and her father's name was Lunasa, and her sunny house was thatched with the feathers of birds, and the doorposts were of gold, and the doors of ribbed grass. And Oisin went there looking for her, and he sought for her against the High King, and against an army of the furbogs he had helping him. And he got the better of them all, and brought away Eibhir of the yellow hair to Ireland. And he had a daughter that married the son of Ail, son of Owen, and of Bera, daughter of the King of Spain. It was that Owen was driven out of Ireland one time, and it is to Spain he went for safety. And Bera, that was daughter of the King of Spain, was very shining and beautiful, and her father had a mind to know who would be her husband. And he sent for his Druid and asked the question of him. "I can tell you that," said the Druid, "for the man that is to be her husband will come to land in Spain this very night. And let your daughter go eastward to the river Eibhir," he said. "And she will find a crimson-spotted salmon in that river, having shining clothing on him from head to tail. Let her strip that clothing off him," he said, "and make with it a shining shirt for her husband." So Bera went to the river Eibhir and found the golden salmon as the Druid had said, and she stripped him of his crimson clothing and made a shining shirt of it. And as to Owen, the waves of the shore put a welcome before him, and he came that same night to the king's house. And the king gave him a friendly welcome, and it is what all the people said, that there was never seen a comelier man than Owen, or a woman more beautiful than Bera, and that it was fitting for them to come together. And Owen's own people said that they would not be sorry for being sent away out of Ireland, if only Owen could get her for his wife. And after a while, the king sent his Druid to ask Owen why he did not ask for Bera. "I will tell you that," said Owen. "It would not be fitting for me to be refused a wife, and I am but an exile in this country, and I have brought no treasures or goods with me out of Ireland, for giving to learned men and to poets. But for all that," he said, "the king's daughter is dear to me, and I think I have a friendship of the king." The Druid went back with that message. "That is the answer of a king," said the King of Spain. "And bid my daughter to sit at Owen's right hand," he said, "and I will give her to him this very night." And when Bera, the king's daughter, heard that, she sent out her serving maid to bring the shirt she had made for Owen, and he put it on him over his armor, and its shining was seen in every place, and it was from wearing that shirt he got the name of Eoghan the Bright. And Ail was the first son they had, and it was he that had his ear bitten off by Anya of the Sidhe in revenge for her brother, and it was his son married Oisin's daughter afterwards. And as to Osgar, that was Oisin's son, of all the young men of the Fianna, he was the best in battle. And when he was but a young child, he made much of by the whole of the Fianna, and it is for him they used to keep the marrowbones, and they did not like to put any hardship on him. And he grew up tall and idle, and no one thought he would turn out so strong as he did. And one day there was an attack made on the troop of the Fianna, and all that were in it went out to fight, but they left Osgar after them. And when he knew the fight was going on, he took a log of wood that was the first thing he could find, and attacked the enemy and made a great slaughter. And they gave way and ran before him. And from that there was no battle he did not go into. And he was said to be the strongest of all the Fianna, though the people of Connacht said that Gull was the strongest. And he and Diarmuid, grandson of Duvna, were comrades and dear friends. And it was Diarmuid taught him feats of arms and of skill, chess playing. And Oisin and his father took great pride in him, and his grandfather Finn. And one time Finn was holding a feast at Alvin, and he asked the chief men of the Fianna that were there what was the music they thought the best. "To be playing at games," said Conan. "That is the best music I ever heard." For though Conan was a good hand against an enemy, there never was a man had less sense. The music I like the best is to be talking with a woman," said Diarmuid. "My music is the outcry of hounds, and they putting a deer to its last stand," said Louis's son. "The music of the woods is best to me," said Oisin. "The sound of the wind and of the cuckoo and the blackbird and the sweet silence of the crane." And then Osgar was asked, and he said, "The best music is the striking of swords in a battle." And it is likely he took after Finn in that. For in spite of all the sweet sounds, he gave an account of the time he was at Conan's house at Q1 Sleeve. He used to be said by the Fianna that the music that was the best with Finn was what happened. This now is the way Osgar met his wife. One time Finn and his men came to Sleeve Crot, and they saw a woman waiting there before them, having a crimson French cloak and a gold brooch on it, and a band of yellow gold on her forehead. Finn asked her name, and where she came from. "Etain of the fair hair is my name," she said. "Daughter of A of the white breast, of the hill of the Sidhe of Eoghan Eibhir, son of Angus Og." "What is it brought you here, girl?" said Finn. "To ask a man of Fianna of Ireland to run a race with me." "What sort of a runner are you?" said Diarmuid. "I am a good runner," said the girl, "for it is the same to me if the ground is long or short under my feet." All of the Fianna that were there then set out to run with her, and they ran to the height of Bahamur and to Aclia, and from that on to the hill of the Sidhe at Eoghan Eibhir. And there was a good welcome before them, and they were brought meat and wine for drinking, and water for washing their feet. And after a while they saw a nice, fair-haired girl in front of the vats, and a cup of white silver in her hand, and she giving out drink to everyone. "It seems to me that is the girl came asking the Fianna to race against her at Sleeve Crot," said Finn. "It is not," said A of the white breast, "for that is the slowest woman there is among us." "Who was it so?" said Finn. "It was Bay Menur, daughter of Eoghan, a woman messenger of a Tua de Danann, and it is she that changes herself into all shapes, and she will take the shape of a fly and of a true lover, and everyone leaves their secrets with her. And it was she who outran you coming from the east, he said, and not this other girl that was drinking and making merry at the hall. What is her name? Said Finn. Etain of the fair hair, he said, a daughter of my own, and a darling of the Tua de Danann. And it is the way with her. She has a lover of the men of the Fianna. That is well, said Finn. And who is that lover? It is Osgar, son of Oisin, said A, and it is she herself sent her messenger for you, he said, in her own shape to Slieve Cut at the south, and the son of the High King of Ireland has offered a great price to the men of Jaw for her, he said. 300 of the land nears to Brega and to Mita, and to put himself and his weight of gold into a balance, and to give it all to her. But we did not take it, he said, since she had no mind or wish for it herself, and so we made no dealing or agreement about her. Well, said Finn, and what conditions will you ask of Oscar? Leave me for anything at all but my own fault, said the girl. I will make the agreement with you indeed, said Oscar. Give me sureties for it, she said. Give me the sureties of gold for the sons of Morna, and of Finn, son of Cool, for the Fianna of Ireland. So they gave their sureties, and the wedding feast was made, and they stopped for 20 nights. And at the end of that time, Oscar asked Finn where would he bring his wife. Bring her to Whitehalven for the first 7 years, said Finn. But a while after that, in a great battle at Bain Adair, Oscar got so heavy a wound that Finn and the Fianna were as if they had lost their wits. And when Etain of the fair hair came to the bed where Oscar was lying, and saw the way he was, and that the great king-like shape he had was gone from him, grayness and darkness came on her, and she raised pitiful cries, and she went to her bed, and her heart broke in her like a nut, and she died of grief for her husband and her first love. But it was not at that time Oscar got his death, but afterwards in the battle of Gorah. And here is where I end my tale for today. But I'll be back with more tales, many more tales. Until then, my friends, enjoy the journey. Slán go fóill. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this story, please give us a thumbs up and comment. It truly helps us.